But here's the truth. Most people never admit to become that smart. You'll lose parts of yourself. You'll outgrow people who once meant everything. You'll learn to walk away without explaining. You'll learn silence can be louder than words. Because when you stop needing validation, you start operating on a higher frequency. So today, I'm not here to make you feel good. I'm here to make you see clear. These aren't gentle lessons. They're ruthless truths that sharpen your mind and protect your soul. By the end of this video, you won't just think smarter, you'll see the world differently. Because once you understand these 8 lessons, no one can manipulate you, fool you, or control you again. You'll become dangerously smart, and that's exactly what they fear. The price of power. These lessons aren't the kind you'll find in a self-help book or a motivational speech. They won't tell you to just think positive or trust the process. No, these are the truths that sting before they set you free. They don't make you feel good. They make you grow up. Because real growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from confrontation. You'll have to face the parts of yourself you've been protecting, the illusions you've been living under, and the people you've been giving your power to. See, intelligence isn't just about knowing more. It's about feeling less when it matters. It's about learning when to walk away, when to stay silent, and when to protect your peace like it's gold. You'll start to notice how much energy you wasted trying to fix people who were never broken. They just weren't your responsibility. You'll realize that not everyone deserves access to your emotions, your time, or your mind. And that's when your transformation begins. But here's the catch. These lessons will cost you your innocence. You'll stop believing that everyone has good intentions. You'll stop expecting fairness from a world that's built on advantage. You'll stop confusing kindness with weakness. And while that might sound cold, it's actually the beginning of freedom. Because the moment you stop being naive is the moment you start being powerful. These lessons will teach you how to protect your energy like your life depends on it. Because in a way it does. Every choice, every reaction, every boundary you set determines how far you'll go. Once you see how much peace comes from walking away, you'll never chase chaos again. So if you're ready to stop being drained, used, and misunderstood, if you're ready to think differently, move differently, and live with intention, then keep watching. These 8 ruthless lessons aren't meant to comfort you. They're meant to build a version of you that nothing and no one can break again. They'll cost your innocence, yes, but they'll buy you power. And that's a trade only the truly smart are willing to make. Lesson 1. Stop explaining yourself. One of the quickest ways to lose your power is by constantly explaining yourself. Every time you defend your choices to people who don't deserve an explanation, you're teaching them to question your worth. You're telling them, without saying it, that their approval matters more than your peace. And that's how you slowly hand over control. Not all at once, but piece by piece, every time you justify why you did what you did. The truth is, people who truly understand you don't need long explanations. They feel your intention, they trust your judgment, and they respect your silence. It's the ones who secretly want to control you that keep asking why. They're not looking for clarity, they're looking for leverage. They want to make you doubt yourself so you'll keep shrinking just to keep the peace. And when you do that, you lose a little more of your confidence every time. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your boundaries. Not for who you cut off. Not for why you're distant. Not for how you protect your energy. Sometimes the most powerful response is silence. Because silence doesn't argue. It doesn't beg to be understood. It simply says, I said what I said, and that's enough. When you stop explaining yourself, something incredible happens. You stop living for other people's comfort and start living for your own clarity. You begin to realize that not everyone deserves access to your reasoning. Your growth doesn't need an announcement, your decisions don't need a debate, and your peace doesn't need permission. The more you explain, the more room you give others to manipulate your truth. So the next time someone questions your choices, pause before you speak. Ask yourself, am I explaining to be understood, or am I explaining to be accepted? Because once you start choosing peace over validation, you'll stop chasing explanations altogether. Remember this: power doesn't shout, it doesn't convince, it doesn't prove, it simply moves. When you stop explaining yourself, you stop begging for understanding and start commanding respect. And that's the first step to becoming dangerously smart. Lesson 2. Observe more. React less. Power doesn't come from being the loudest in the room, it comes from being the one who sees everything and says nothing until it's necessary. Most people are addicted to reacting. Someone says something offensive, and they explode. Someone disagrees, and they argue. Someone lies, and they rush to prove the truth. But here's the thing: the more you react, the easier you are to control, because whoever controls your reaction controls you. Observation, on the other hand, is quiet power. When you stop rushing to speak and start watching instead, you begin to notice what others miss. You start seeing people's patterns, not just their promises. You pick up on tone changes, small lies, and nervous habits. You learn that most people expose their true selves, not through words, but through what they try to hide. Silence makes people uncomfortable, and that's exactly why it's powerful. When you stay calm and don't react, others start revealing themselves just to fill the silence. They show their insecurity, their guilt, their real intentions. You don't even have to say anything. Your stillness does the talking for you. That's leverage. The smartest people in the room rarely speak first. They gather data. They listen. They watch. They wait. And when they finally speak, their words hit harder because they've been built on understanding, not emotion. That's how leaders think. That's how you win arguments without arguing, and gain respect without demanding it. Learning to observe more and react less also protects your energy. You stop wasting emotions on people who feed off your reactions. You stop fighting battles that don't matter. You stop letting every insult, every opinion, every tiny situation pull you out of character. Next time you feel the urge to react, take a breath, step back. Let silence do what noise never could, because the one who can stay calm while everyone else is losing control, that's the one who holds all the power. Remember, intelligence isn't loud. It's still, it's patient, it's calculated. And the moment you master the art of watching more and reacting less, you stop playing their game and start making the rules. Lesson 3. People show their intentions in patterns, not words. Words are easy. Anyone can say the right thing when they want something from you. They can promise loyalty, love or honesty, but words are just noise until actions back them up. The real truth about people isn't in what they say once, it's in what they do repeatedly. That's why emotionally intelligent people don't listen to charm, they study consistency. Every person reveals themselves over time. The way they show up when you're not useful to them, how they talk about others when those people aren't around, how they react when you set boundaries. That's where their real intentions live. Patterns don't lie. If someone keeps disappointing you the same way, that's not a mistake.
That's their nature. But here's where most people get trapped. They fall for potential. They see one kind gesture and think it cancels out 10 red flags. They convince themselves that maybe this time it's different. But emotional intelligence means seeing the whole picture, not just the moments that feel good. It means understanding that patterns predict the future far better than promises ever will. When you stop chasing words and start tracking behavior, you protect yourself from manipulation. You stop getting played by charm, apologies and emotional performances. You start recognizing when someone's actions no longer match their story. That's when your intuition sharpens, not because you've become colder, but because you've become wiser. It takes strength to accept patterns for what they are. It's hard to admit that someone you care about is showing you who they really are, not through what they say, but through what they keep doing. But once you do, you'll stop wasting your empathy on repetition. You'll stop confusing love with loyalty and effort with excuses. So remember this, consistency is a language of truth. If their words are beautiful, but their behavior is broken, believe the behavior. It'll always tell you more than the story they're trying to sell. That's emotional intelligence, seeing beyond the charm, beyond the talk, and learning to trust patterns over promises. That's how you stop being fooled and start becoming dangerously smart. Lesson 4. Comfort is a trap disguised as peace. Comfort feels safe. It feels like stability, like finally catching your breath after chaos. But here's the truth. Most people avoid. Comfort is the most dangerous trap there is. Because it doesn't destroy you loudly. It destroys you quietly. It whispers, "You're fine right here," while your potential slowly dies in the background. Comfort is a liar that dresses up as peace, but what it really gives you is stagnation. The mind loves routine because it feels secure, but growth doesn't live in security, it lives in uncertainty. Every time you choose what's easy, you're saying no to what could have made you evolve. The job that doesn't challenge you, the relationship that feels predictable, the habits that numb you, they all create an illusion of peace, but underneath they're stealing your edge. You stop questioning, you stop pushing, you stop becoming. Ambition isn't loud or aggressive, it's a quiet restlessness inside you that keeps whispering, "There's more." But the longer you stay comfortable, the quieter that voice becomes. Eventually, it stops whispering altogether, and you start mistaking stillness for happiness. That's when most people start existing instead of living. The people who truly grow, the ones who rise, evolve, and create something extraordinary, they've learned to make discomfort their home. They understand that fear and uncertainty aren't signs to stop. They're signs that you're moving in the right direction, because every level of growth requires a version of you that the current comfort zone can't contain. When you start craving comfort less and challenge more, everything changes. Your confidence grows, your vision expands, and your tolerance for mediocrity disappears. You stop chasing easy and start chasing meaning, and yes, it's uncomfortable. Growth always is, but so is regret, and only one of them builds you. So ask yourself this, are you peaceful, or just comfortable? Because one will strengthen you, and the other will slowly erase who you could have become. The moment you choose discomfort on purpose, you unlock the version of yourself that comfort was keeping buried. That's not just smart, that's dangerously smart.
Lesson 5. Never argue with emotionally immature people. There's no real victory in arguing with someone who isn't ready to understand you. Emotionally mature people don't want resolution. They want reaction. They feed off your frustration, twist your words, and turn every logical point into emotional chaos. The more you try to explain, the deeper you sink into their trap. Because when logic meets immaturity, logic always loses. You can be completely right and still end up feeling drained, angry, and misunderstood. Emotionally immature people don't argue to find truth. They argue to win. They'll change the topic mid-conversation, bring up old wounds, or play the victim just to shift control. You can present facts, calm reasoning, even empathy. It doesn't matter. Their goal isn't clarity, it's validation. They need to feel powerful, even if it means distorting reality. And if you stay in that argument long enough, they'll drag you down to their level and beat you with experience. The smartest move you can make isn't proving your point. It's protecting your peace. Let them believe what they want to believe. Let them have the last word. Silence doesn't mean you've lost. It means you've chosen to stop giving your energy to someone who can't handle it. Emotional maturity means knowing when to disengage, even when your ego wants to win. You'll notice that once you stop reacting, they'll get louder. They'll try harder to provoke you, to make you respond. That's because your calmness threatens their control. Stay silent anyway. The real power move is not needing to defend yourself to someone who isn't capable of understanding you in the first place. Arguing with emotionally immature people is like trying to teach algebra to someone who hasn't learned to count. You'll both end up frustrated. So save your logic for people who value it. Protect your energy from those who drain it. And remember, walking away doesn't mean weakness. It means wisdom. The truly intelligent know that not every battle deserves their presence. Sometimes the smartest thing you can do is say nothing, turn away, and let peace win the argument for you. Lesson 6. Control information. Never overshare. Power doesn't always come from what you say. It often comes from what you choose not to say. In a world where everyone is desperate to be seen, the ones who hold real influence are the ones who stay mysterious. Oversharing is a silent weakness. The more people know about you, your fears, your plans, your struggles, the more control they have over you. Information is currency, and the smartest people spend it wisely. When you overshare, you give people a map to your emotions. They learn what triggers you, what excites you, what hurts you, and not everyone with that knowledge will use it kindly. Some will use it to manipulate, to test boundaries, or to subtly keep you small. That's why the people who speak less are often respected more. Their silence isn't emptiness, it's strategy. It makes people curious. It makes them guess. And that curiosity is power. Selective silence isn't about being cold or distant. It's about control. You choose what to reveal and when. You let people see just enough to stay intrigued but never enough to understand your full hand. That's how you maintain leverage, by never being completely predictable. Mystery forces people to fill in the blanks, and they often fill them with respect. When you start controlling information, you'll notice how differently people treat you. They'll listen more carefully when you speak, because your words aren't scattered, they're scarce. They'll wonder what you're thinking, and that quiet uncertainty gives you presence. You stop blending in and start standing out, not by being loud, but by being unreadable. So don't announce every goal, don't expose every wound, don't let everyone know what's going on in your head. Keep some things sacred, private, and yours alone, because once people can't predict your next move, they can't control your direction, and that's what makes mystery powerful. The world can only manipulate what it understands, so stay unpredictable, stay composed, and let your silence speak louder than your story. That's not distance. That's discipline. And that's how dangerously smart people move, quietly, deliberately, and always 2 steps ahead. Lesson 7. Your feelings are data, not directions. Emotions are powerful, but they're not meant to drive the car, they're meant to show you the map. Every feeling you experience is information, a signal from your inner world trying to tell you something. But here's where most people get it wrong. They let their emotions make decisions instead of offering insight. They confuse a temporary feeling with a permanent truth.
And that's how people ruin relationships, destroy opportunities, and lose peace. By obeying emotions instead of understanding them. When you're angry, your mind narrows. When you're sad, it distorts. When you're afraid, it exaggerates. That's why emotional control isn't about suppressing your feelings. It's about managing them long enough to see clearly. Smart people don't deny what they feel, they decode it. They ask, what is this emotion trying to teach me? Instead of, what should I do right now because of it? Think of emotions like weather. They come and go, and if you react to every storm, you'll never build anything stable. Emotional maturity is learning to stand still in the rain without burning down the whole village just because you got wet. It's the ability to pause, to breathe before you respond, to observe before you act. That pause is where intelligence lives. When you treat your emotions as data, you start to understand patterns in yourself. What triggers you, what inspires you, what drains you. You gain clarity. You stop letting anger ruin your communication, fear kill your ambition, or sadness dictate your worth. You become calm in situations that once broke you, because you finally understand. Feelings aren't facts, they're messages. The world respects those who can stay centered when everyone else is spinning out. The ability to feel deeply without losing control is one of the highest forms of intelligence. So don't fight your emotions. Study them, don't obey them, learn from them. Because when you master your emotional world, you master your external one too, and that's what makes you not just smart, but dangerously smart. Lesson 8. Detach from outcomes. The moment you stop obsessing over how things should turn out is the moment you start thinking clearly. Most people don't fail because they're incapable. They fail because they're emotionally attached to outcomes they can't control. They expect things to go a certain way, and when life doesn't cooperate, they crumble. But emotional detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop depending. It's the ability to give your best without losing yourself in the result. When you're attached, you act from fear, fear of losing, fear of rejection, fear of uncertainty. Every decision becomes reactive, desperate, emotional, but when you detach, you act from clarity. You stop trying to force things and start letting logic lead. Detachment gives you power because it removes desperation, and nothing blinds intelligence faster than desperation. Imagine making choices not because you need something to work, but because it feels right to pursue it. That's where freedom begins. You stop chasing outcomes and start mastering process. You start realizing that every rejection redirects you, every delay strengthens you, and every loss teaches you something necessary. Detachment transforms pain into perspective and failure into feedback. That's not indifference, that's wisdom. When you detach, people can't manipulate you. Situations can't shake you. You become calm in chaos because your peace no longer depends on things going your way. You're not moved by outcomes, you're guided by purpose, and that's what separates emotional thinkers from strategic ones. So stop gripping so tightly to how you think life should unfold. Let go of timelines, expectations, and the need to control what's beyond your reach. Focus on effort, discipline, and intention, because that's where your power actually is. When you detach from outcomes, you create space for better ones. In the end, emotional detachment doesn't make you cold, it makes you clear. You start seeing the bigger picture instead of drowning in the details. You stop reacting and start responding. That's not just emotional control, that's mental dominance. And when you reach that level, nothing outside of you can shake what's inside of you. That's when you become truly, dangerously smart. Powerful reflection, emotional mic drop. The smartest people aren't cold, they're just done giving energy to what doesn't grow them. It's not that they've stopped caring, it's that they've learned what's worth caring about. At some point, you get tired of pouring your time, heart and attention into things that only drain you. You get tired of fighting to be understood, tired of trying to prove your worth, tired of being loyal to people who only show up when it's convenient. And when that realization hits, something in you shifts, quietly but permanently. You start protecting your peace like it's sacred. You start moving differently. You stop explaining, stop reacting, stop overgiving. You no longer chase closure, because you've learned that peace doesn't come from fixing others, it comes from fixing how much access they have to you. You begin to see life with new eyes, sharper ones. You understand that silence isn't weakness, distance isn't arrogance, and boundaries aren't walls. They're filters. Filters that keep chaos out and clarity in. That's what it means to be dangerously smart. Not ruthless for the sake of ego, but ruthless in protecting your energy. It's realizing that every conversation doesn't need a response, every insult doesn't deserve defense, and every opportunity isn't aligned with your peace. The smarter you get, the less noise you tolerate. You'd rather walk alone in truth than stand surrounded by lies. And yes, it can feel lonely at first. Growth always does. But that loneliness is just space. Space being cleared for new peace, new power, new purpose. Because when you stop giving energy to what doesn't grow you, you make room for what actually will. So don't mistake detachment for coldness. Don't confuse calm with indifference. The smartest people aren't heartless, they're just healed enough to stop bleeding for people who never intended to stop the cut. That's the real transformation, when your intelligence isn't just in your mind, but in your boundaries, your silence, and your choices. That's when you stop surviving and start mastering life. So tell me, which of these ruthless lessons hit you the hardest? Was it the one that reminded you to stop explaining yourself, or the one that made you realize you've been mistaking comfort for peace? Maybe it was the truth about never arguing with emotionally immature people, or learning to finally detach from outcomes. Whatever it was, I want you to sit with it. Don't just nod and move on, feel it. Because awareness means nothing if you don't apply it. Every lesson you just heard is meant to wake something up inside you, the part that's tired of being misunderstood and underestimated. The part that's done living on autopilot and ready to start thinking with purpose. These lessons aren't about being perfect, they're about being powerful. They're about becoming the kind of person who doesn't just react to life, but designs it. So here's your challenge. Choose one of these lessons and start living it today. Maybe you stop oversharing. Maybe you stay silent in a moment where you'd normally react. Maybe you finally stop chasing people who only show up when it's convenient. Small shifts, done consistently, turn into transformation. And when you feel that change, that quiet power growing in you, remember this moment. Because this is where it started. Right here, when you decided to stop being naive and start being aware. So go ahead, drop it in the comments. Which lesson woke something up in you? I read every one, and if you're ready to think sharper, live smarter, and move in silence, hit subscribe, because from this point on, ignorance doesn't stand a chance, and neither does anyone who tries to play you.